Yes. Can I help you? Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. I can help you with some chess. I got you. Fear not. So I did figure I'd go ahead and grab an all Philippines matchup. So there was a Philippine Open tournament that was played in 2008. And Wesley So had just gotten his Grandmaster title the previous November. So this is one of his first tournaments as a Grandmaster a long time ago. And it is Mark Paragua versus Wesley So. So of course, all my people coming from the Philippines, I will say maraming salamat, mabuhay. And if you guys are ready to go, man, let's take a look and see what we got for this game, son. All right, so we got the move D4, knight to F6, all very standard stuff so far. Knight to F3. We got the move E6, so we are starting to kind of get into like a Queen's Gambit decline possibly situation. We do see C4, but we do have B6. So instead of the typical D5, which would get us into the Queen's Gambit decline, possibly some like Ragozins or something like that, we do see the move B6, and we are hyper modern the situation as black. We do see G3. We do see bishop to A6, and we do have the Queen's Indian defense, and this is the Nimzowitsch variation. It's very logical. I mean, when you do, when you don't move this E-pawn and you're going for more of a Fianchetto situation, you do kind of have a C-pawn flung out there, and you kind of got to do something about it. So we do see the move Queen to C2, and we see the move C5 from black, and I mean, black is actually kind of attacking a little bit, man. So it's like, this is definitely what black wants to get out of an opening of a chess game, because usually you are kind of on the back foot and you're getting attacked, and you're having to defend from white. But I mean, if you can get in a situation, like I said, where black is like attacking, man, that's a dream come true. We do see bishop to G2. We got the move bishop to B7. You really have to plug up that diagonal because you see that rook is kind of lonely on A8. We do see the move D5, pawn takes D5, pawn takes D5, and then we do see knight taking D5. Yes! I got a pawn, I'm gonna win! No, this is all theory, like, so don't get too excited, man. This is actually very, very known theory, even as of 2008. This is very, very known stuff. We do see castles by white. Yes, you have given up a pawn if you're white, but you will notice going into the middle game that you do have a lot of compensation for that pawn, and most likely at some point you're going to be getting the pawn back. We do see bishop going to E7. We see rook over to D1. And like I said, white is down a pawn, but this is absolutely very sharp chess that's being played. We do see queen going over to C8. We see queen up to F5. And something really kind of has to give now. You definitely want to rid yourself of, all of this pressure. And then after the knight might move or something, you have some pressure right here. So you're kind of holding this knight from moving from B8, but we'll get to that a little bit later. So we actually see knight going to F6 in the game. It might kind of seem like, hey, man, I'm going to save my pawn like this. I'm going to attack the queen. But you would be looking at queen taking, bishop taking, and then... no, my rook. I love my knight, man. It was my friend. Anyways, this is what you would be seeing in the game. But we do not see that. Like I said, we did see the knight just casually going back to F6, saying, hey, man, I've gotten my food. I've eaten. So let's go ahead and go back. We do see knight to F6. Knight goes to C3. We got castles by black. And then we do see the move bishop to G5. And like I said, white has absolutely given up a pawn. But look at the position, though. You have white has every single one of their pieces out in the position. Black is a little bit on the back foot. They got, they have a couple of issues that they have to resolve. They still have an issue with this pawn being somewhat backward. We got pressure right here. So, I mean, yes, black does have an extra pawn, but it really kind of doesn't feel like it. They have to untangle themselves. We do see the move H6. Bishop takes F6. We were trying to eliminate this knight anyway. As you notice, white is trying to eliminate all of the protectors of this particular pawn. If we can successfully do that, we are still continuing to hold this knight on B8. Bishop takes F6. We do see E4, and this is the novelty of the game. You don't generally want to block your bishop on a long diagonal, but you definitely are working to push your pawn to E5 and attack this bishop and continue, open your bishop back up anyway. So that is why we actually see the move D6. You are okay doing D6 here because now you don't have a knight that's kind of hanging out on D5 that you have to worry about. So we do see queen taking, rook taking, and then we do see knight going to B5. And yes, this is a backward pawn. So we are wanting to do these here. And you absolutely cannot take here because if you do, you're going to be looking at knight to D6. And this is a forksy. And what do you do? Exactly. You don't want to go there. So that is why we do not see that. We do see bishop going to C6. We got knight taking d6. And like I said, I mean, white is almost always in a position to get their pawn back as long as they play as actively as humanly possible. And everything is pretty much going to be pretty dead even. We do see rook going down to c7. And this was pretty much like the only move. We do see the move e5. Like I said, you never planned on leaving that pawn on e4. You were always going to push it. And now you have, open your bishop up a little bit more. We do see the bishop going back to e7. And we have actually reached a point in the game. It's not the absolute best move, but it's a really nice idea that Mark Paragua does, think of in the game. So if you want to try to pause the video and guess what idea he comes up with, go ahead and do so. Okay, like I said, it's not the absolute best move. It's kind of like, kind of more in the middle of the pack, like maybe 3-4 moves down. There was like kind of some other things, but it's a really nice idea that he does come up with. And he actually plays the move b4. Now, b4 might not look like a whole lot. You are kind of, giving up another pawn for some position. It is really best to take this pawn on b4. You absolutely don't want, let's say, for example, literally the second best move the computer's giving you is this. But, I mean, from a more general perspective, like all of these, like any of these moves that aren't pawn takes b4 is, giving white the ability to do something like this. And you have just strapped black now with a very weak pawn that you are going to be able to mercilessly attack. So this is something that black doesn't want to go into in any type of form or fashion. So that is why in this position, after we see b4, we do see Wesley So making sure that he does capture this pawn. So now he does get a pawn up again. But there is a lot of attack that can come from Mark in this position. We do see rook a to c1. And Wesley So literally finds the only move in a position. You have way too much pressure on this rook. You got some knights possibly coming up here. You don't want to, be getting your bishop super pinned down on all of these different diagonals and files and everything. So the only really thing that you can do is move rook to d7, which is what we see in the game. And like I said, if you still notice that this knight has still never been developed off the b8 square, and this rook has never moved as well. So even though, yes, you're playing kind of like a pawn sacrifice game as white, you notice that because of these issues, that is why it is either giving white like an equal game or a slightly better game, even being down the pawn. Like I said, rook came to d7. We do see rook going up to d4. We got the move a5. We were attacking this pawn over here. White would obviously love to get, their material equality back. So black does not want to try to allow that. And then we actually see rook d to c4. And this is kind of a little bit unfortunate because this allows Wesley a chance. And he takes it. He's like, yes. A crease. I found something. So he does play the absolute best move in the position. Bishop takes d6, pawn takes d6, rook takes d6. And you see in the position, even though it's literally giving equality, like maybe slightly better for black, black is now up 2 entire pawns. But like I said, the biggest factor in the position is knight on b8 and rook on a8 are absolutely not being used at the moment. And you do have this doubling of the rooks. Going back, though, just real quick, after we saw the move a5, you did actually have the ability to go back knight to f5, and you have a severe amount of threats in the position. You obviously have knight taking e7 with check. You're offering a trade of rooks, in which if the rook takes, you're going to be seeing this rook take, and you have so much pressure on this back rank, and you do still have these issues of these two pieces. So that is the major issue that Wesley So is having to try to deal with. But like I said, we did get into this position here. We got knight going up to e5. You don't necessarily want to trade your bishop because it is a very strong piece, but you are going to be opening up. You are putting a lot of pressure on this c6 point. Bishop does take on g2. We see rook to c8 with check. And now this just further highlights the issue that you have if you're black. The fact that you have never moved either one of these two pieces. And now you have this knight pinned down. There's nowhere you can really move it that's going to save this rook in the corner. So yes, you are down a couple of pawns if you are white, but you have a very, very strong attack going on. The king goes down to h7. We see king taking g2, and we do see the move f6. And this is actually a critical point that we come to in the game. There are a handful of moves that you can make if you are white to kind of just get yourself out of dodge and just kind of regroup and just try to add more pressure onto this the corner of the board with the rook over there. But we actually see Mark go knight to f7. The problem with this move is it actually somewhat traps your knight, and it puts white in a position where they have to start defending the position instead of continuing to go on the attack. So we do see rook immediately going to d7. We see rook going over to f8. And so you see, like I said, how black is now having the initiative and white is having to try to kind of defend their position. We do see the move a4. We got h4, and then this actually makes it worse by going g6, because in one move, this king is absolutely coming to this g7 square, and it is going to be attacking both of your pieces. So you absolutely have to do something out of this position. But what Mark Paragua actually does in this position is it gives Wesley So a further chance. We see the move knight to d8. It might kind of seem natural, like, hey, man, it's a protected square. I want to make sure that, I'm like getting my knight out of there. Like I can come down to like, I can go down to e6 or something like that coming up. But this does allow Wesley So to make the move knight to a6. And now he does have the opportunity to start kind of getting those pieces out of the corner. And then we do actually see knight to e6. And we see the really, really amazing move by Wesley So. And this is rook d to a7. Not going immediately into the trade, but just saying, hey, man, I'm just going to strengthen this A file. You have all of these pawns over here if you're black. So, hey, I'm going to try to start to push those forward. Now, going back, though, after we saw the move g6, there was actually a really nice idea in the position, and that was actually knight going back to d6. It might kind of seem like it drops this knight. Like, why am I moving the knight right there? Well, after this, you kind of somewhat have a back rank type of a situation after you see rook to c7, and, the king doesn't have anywhere that they can go. So you either have knight blocking or rook blocking, and if you block with the rook, you're going to be trading, and then you're going to be down, an entire situation. You absolutely do not want that. So this is definitely something that Mark actually had in the position. But like I said, we did see this position here. We got rook taking f6. We got knight going down to c5. And you don't really necessarily want to trade in this situation, but you don't really have a whole lot of, great better moves. There's kind of some drawing moves, but we do see knight taking c5, pawn taking c5, and then we do see rook taking c5, which seems great. Like, you're like, oh, man, hey, man, everything is now equal. Everything is cool. But the problem is you have too strong of issues on this queen side with this 2-to-1 pawn majority. And we see that very, very highlighted with the move rook to b1. b3 immediately was very possible, and you're going to pretty much kind of transpose into like a very similar situation that you have. And we actually see rook going to c1 in this position. And it is in this position that Mark Paragua resigns the game. Now, I know a lot of you probably are out there. I think a majority, if not all of you out there, are looking at this position like, hey, I'm counting. I got the equal amount of pawns. Like, I mean, yeah, you're going to get kind of your pass pawn over there. But like, I mean, is it that deadly? Actually, it's not. This is actually a position that it's possible to hold. And then also it's possible that black might misplay. And I mean, you can kind of, get into like a better situation. So we'll just kind of take it a little bit further real quick and just kind of show you most likely what would end up happening. You see the move b3. You're going to be creating a pass pawn. That's your literally whole goal on this queen side, right? Pawn takes, pawn takes. You got the rook stepping over to b1. I mean, you could have always made another move and waited for b2 to come to attack your rook, and then you move it over. But you're going to end up in this position anyway. You're going to be looking at rook to d6, rook going down to a1. You got rook d to d1, and you got rook taking b1 and then rook taking b1. And like I said, you are in a rook endgame with equal pawns. It is definitely preferable for black, but it's not like it's just absolutely 100% won. It's giving close to a pawn's worth of an advantage. And I mean, this is the way I'm looking at it if I'm Mark from the white side. Man, Wesley So you just became a GM, bro. I'm going to test your rook endgame, son. Because, I mean, obviously, you always have the possibility of losing. But if you don't continue to go forward, I mean, then you absolutely lose. If you just resign, like, that's an automatic loss. So, I mean, personally here, I would look and say, hey, man, we got this king fight that's about to go on. We're both going to be trying to move our kings into position, probably something like this. It really depends on kind of how you're moving your pawns. And I mean, this rook is immobile, but this one kind of is too, because you're protecting this pawn. So like I said, this is something I'm looking at like, hey, I'm going to fight you, bro. And I mean, we're just going to see what happens, man. Because I mean, if I'm going to lose, I'm going to go down swinging, like I said, man. But man, I appreciate everybody very much for stopping by. This is what I'm going to attempt. It's been a very, very long time since I've done these good mornings, but I'm going to go ahead and attempt all of these good mornings in all of these different languages. Let me see where I got my stuff at. Okay, so I have all these good mornings and stuff. So I'm going to try to make an attempt to say as many of them as I can remember. Okay, so, and I don't 100% remember the actual languages that they go. I know Cebuano, Maayong Buntag. So I'm more familiar with that language other than Tagalog. But so there's Magandang Umaga for Tagalog, Maayong Buntag, Mayad na Agahan, Ninebag na Bigat, Masentyo sa Carbosan, Marhe na Aga, Buenos Dias for Shabakano. And I really space after that. Let me see, what else do I know? Is it Mayap Abak? No. Okay, it's Mapia. It's Maayon Aga, Mapia na Uma, Kapian Kapuno Dios? Yes. Mayap Habak, Mayap Abak, Malpe na Aga? No, Mayad na Aga. Malpe na Aga. No, it's not that. Yeah, that's way down on the list. Mapia Agay, Mapia Kapapita, My Big Abukla, Marhe na Aga? No, it's not. Malpe na Aga. So the rest of them here, apologize people. Marajana Buntag, Maria Mainat, Malpe na Aga, Kasanyangan Si LOB, and I think My Big Abukla is the one I missed. Yeah, Marjana Buntag. Yes. So I got all of that. I mean, I think I did okay, considering, like I said, it's been a very, very long time since I've actually done any of those. Probably close to a year since I've tried any of those. So I'm going to keep working at it, but it's also been a long time since I've done a all Philippines matchup. But, you know, I figured, hey, man, like, let's go ahead and hook that up. But I appreciate everybody very much for stopping by. Maraming salamat na king makaibigan. Posa na nunod inga king my video. Hello ulit. Messiah kong makita kang muli. I appreciate everybody very much for stopping by. Ingat lagi. Mabuning pagbati. Sige. And I'm going to see everybody next time.